The speaking tour is coming at a very important moment, both for Cuba, for the world, and for for Britain. First of all, for Cuba, because there is an incredible process of popular consultation underway in Cuba, a process in which all the people of Cuba are debating about their socio-economic problems and being invited to suggest concrete solutions to those problems. In the world, because we are now at a period where neoliberalism has been recognised to have failed in its offer of a better future. Capitalism has been discredited again, and a new socialist movement is starting to arise, particularly in Latin America, led of course by Hugo Chavez in alliance with Fidel Castro and Raúl Castro in Cuba, but also other important revolutionaries like Evo Morales.
We're striving in the NHS, I work in the NHS, and the NHS is striving to be a better company basically, because they're trying to make it a business. But the health system in Cuba is flourishing, and while they haven't got as much capital, as much money to put in to their health services, it's still far better than what we have.
Western media has never covered Cuba, let alone covered them favourably.
The treatment of Cuba down through the years has been horrendous.
Cuba is changing since January 1st in 1959. The core of the revolution, the essence of the meaning of a real revolution is, as Fidel said, change everything that needs to be changed. And we are permanently changing. We are permanently criticizing ourselves and permanently trying to improve our activity. The first opposition in Cuba is the 11 million of Cuban people, or almost 11 people of Cuban people that support revolution and are permanently opposed to all things that we could do wrong, and are trying permanently to do better all things in Cuba. So are many concepts that we need to clarify and we need to know better, because you are not guilty that you don't have information.
Inspired by Cuba, millions of people are building a new movement under the slogan, Socialism for the 21st Century. Cuba is both leading and driving this project. Of course there is hope. We can and we must change the world. Our armaments are not guns, but education and ideas. We hope that this event today will convince you to join Rock Around the Blockade and to fight for a better world. Socialism for the 21st century.
Y todos sabíamos además que Fidel para nada ambiciona poder.
And Fidel, for those who know him, know that he's not actually ambitious for power.
Y esto no se entiende muy bien en el mundo.
And this is not very well understood throughout the world.
Porque hay una gran desinformación en el mundo sobre Cuba.
Because there's a lot of misinformation in the world about Cuba.
Los medios existentes de información en el mundo,
the existing media of information in the world,
en su gran mayoría,
in its great majority,
tratan de dar una información de Cuba absolutamente distinta a la realidad.
Try to give a completely distorted view of Cuba's life.
Yeah. First rule of our rule book is that we are opposed to the capitalist state. Yeah? And we're supposed to find ways and means to ensure that it's not oppressing workers. So it is very much there for that. It's about defending rights, defending workers' rights, and defending the workers' fight against capitalism. Yeah? Trade union is, if it's not about that, then it's not a trade union. Yeah?
The reason we're supporting this tour, we believe it's right to have an opportunity of having Orlando over here, speaking to people, and more importantly than that, we believe that what's taking place in Cuba is the opposite of the battle of ideas that's being pushed by imperialism, capitalism and big business. And it's part of the anti-capitalist movement. And what we say is that we need, for all the critics that people might have of Cuba, talking around and saying that we want to have a debate about their human rights, we want a debate about their political system over there. The reality is that little island with few people being squeezed in economically by the biggest power in the world has for 49 years demonstrated that there's a different world. That's what is operating out there. And that's what we're proud of as a trade union in the RMT, is that we're proud that Cuba wants to spend money on constructing society rather than destructing society. Let's have them elections on Sunday, which has got nothing to do with us whatsoever, but whatever the democratic outcome of the Cuban people is that those people around the world should rally to whatever the decisions were. And Viva Cuba, Viva Fidel, and Viva Orlando.
I think it is a very important opportunity for the people who have come to listen to the Cuban visitors to inform themselves directly about current developments in Cuba.
More than 20,000 doctors from Cuba are working and helping us in Venezuela, building a health system that was not there before the revolution. We can tell that it's been a successful story because of the help of the more than 20,000 Cuban doctors that came to Venezuela. That gives you an example of how much we know about the relationship between Cuba and Venezuela. It's not just that, it's also alphabetization, education to the elderly. There's so many links between our people and so many Cuban help that we received.
I think it was a more human touch rather than the political touch, and I think that makes a big difference.
There are many things I think we can learn from Cuba, but there are many things we can learn from maybe the Cubans can learn from other countries as well.
It's quite inspirational, really. I don't know much about socialism, about Cuba, about alternative society, really, because you live in a world and you just get about going about your business, and I think sometimes you need to sort of look at it from a more critical aspect.
It's quite an inspiration how somebody really changed it and went out there and did it for his people, and I just want to know and learn and want to do something in the future.